Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. All right, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody! Welcome back to another edition of Mutants Monthly here on the Penny Bloom Podcast. This month is Fear and Loathing in Dark Phoenix. I am joined by none other than Aurora Carter. What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great, and this is the most confident I have felt so far.
I bet it is. That's your favorite character right there. That's your favorite character right there. And for the first time here on Mutants Monthly, we are also joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What's up? I am the least confident right now. Well, not like totally in the dark, but I'm a newbie here, which is interesting. But I'm glad that I could join you guys. Yeah.
And here's the thing: I want to explain to the people. Obviously, me and Aurora have been doing this for a couple months now. We had August, we did Professor X and Magneto. September, we did Something Blue, where we focused on Beast, Nightcrawler, and Mystique. And then last month, we did the Halloween Spooktacular, in which we discussed costume design, and we briefly touched on a horror comic that we both really enjoyed. And as two people who really love the X-Men and have always loved the X-Men, we haven't had the new perspective of someone who doesn't know a lot about the X-Men and is learning about the X-Men actively. And that is exactly why Joe is here with us today to discuss this the Dark Phoenix. And we won't limit it to the Dark Phoenix. You got the Phoenix Saga. There's a whole bunch of shit involving the Phoenix. We'll talk the movie. We'll talk the animated series adaptation. Maybe some comic book talk a little bit. But it'll all be here. It's all Phoenix today. All Phoenix today. So, Aurora, I kind of want to let you kick this off. You seem to be the most passionate about the Phoenix, far and away. So I'm ready to hear what you've got to say about the Phoenix. How do you want to kick this off?
Yo, I'm telling you, I am so happy right now.
Yeah,
I don't even know where to start. That's like work our way up. Do y'all want to start with the Foxman films? Is that like
let's start with the movie. Let's start with the Dark Phoenix film. I just gave it a rewatch yesterday, and I think since the last time I've watched it, my perspective on comic book movies has shifted a little bit, so that I'm more here for the fun and stuff. So it's a fun movie. It's not the best by any means, but it's fun. There's a lot of it's got the bones, it's got the structure. However, you look at the animated series adaptation of the Phoenix and the Phoenix Saga, the couple episodes in between, and then the Dark Phoenix Saga, and that's 3 hours and 40 minutes of content covering the Phoenix. And you need every bit of 3 hours and 40 minutes to cover the Phoenix, just because, I don't know, you watch that movie and the Phoenix is taking control 25 minutes in, and it's like, wait, hold on. It's not usually like this. But I'm okay with some retconning to the comic book material when it comes to the films. I'm okay with it when it comes to the MCU, so I got to be a little bit okay with it when it comes to Foxman. I can't let that sway my judgment too much. However, there's just something lacking for me in that movie. It doesn't fire on all cylinders. The end comes around, and I'm just kind of like, yeah.
Comparing this movie to Last Stand, at least I would say they went to space and involved some type of alien race, which is the Dabari Empire.
It
But
was certainly a step up from
a big step up, but
the Last Stand adaptation.
But they still had the red trench coat theme going on. And I don't get it. Like, I will understand if the beginning of the movie we did not have costumes, uniforms. I would have been like, okay, so we going like more of a street clothes vibe. I can kind of get that.
Yeah, Magneto pops up in that movie wearing a black trench coat and just his black helmet and stuff, and clean look. Not particularly a Magneto look for my money.
Yeah,
but like,
it was like, yeah, we just gonna put all the budget into the CGI. CGI phenomenal. But
it is a very visually satisfying movie. Watching that the Phoenix Force enter her at the beginning of the movie is fucking astounding. It looks brilliant, and then when they fade into the Dabari leader explaining to her what happened and stuff, and they're standing in the room, and it fades into space, and it's like, oh damn, that was cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this movie, like, I thoroughly enjoyed the Dark Phoenix movie. Because I'm hearing, I watched the Foxman movies first, the earlier X-Men movies. And so I've kind of experienced the Phoenix Saga as like worst to best, but I started with like kind of the best, which is the comic book adaptation.
Yeah.
So I started with the absolute best, and then I went all the way down to rock bottom, and then slowly climbed my way back up.
Yeah.
But like the Dark Phoenix movie, like I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like I just kind of let everything go, no opinions, about like how they're gonna retcon everything. And I don't know, it was just visually very, very good. That is one thing that like I think everyone says about this movie is that they killed like the CGI and VFX like 100%.
And I'm not going to cap either. The performances in that movie are great. Sophie Turner kills it as Jean Grey. She's outstanding. James McAvoy, even though his Professor X in this movie is like, I can't stand him in this movie. And it's
for
not
no
for
reason too, right? Like,
no, yeah, it's like I don't like him for like his perspective at the beginning, but then like he just kind of like.
Is this what his character is like? I feel like this just wasn't an accurate portrayal of his character.
He was not like this in the Phoenix comic book lore. Okay. Professor X was...
And they took these liberties with the other characters, and that's really where I lose steam on this story, is the characters surrounding Jean. The adaptation of the Phoenix taking over her body and like her inner struggle with it and stuff, like I'm really with that. Like it does go okay throughout the movie. I don't think that's the worst part, but like I don't like that you kill Mystique 30 minutes into the movie. I don't like that Beast sees that happen and goes, I want to kill Jean.
So out of character.
That's not Beast. That's not a Beast thing.
Out of character.
He certainly wouldn't have gone to Magneto for help. However, I do appreciate throughout the Foxmen films, if you're keeping that continuity, the Beast did care about Mystique deeply, as he says when she dies, I love you, like it was a little bit more on brand for this version of the Beast, I think, but it was a really drastic step to go, well, kill Mystique, I'm gonna go find Magneto and we're gonna kill this woman. I would have appreciated that perspective more if it wasn't about Mystique. If it was like, she did this to Mystique, she's out of control, she can't, like, we need to do something about it before more people get hurt. But it was simply a vendetta. Like, it was like, you killed Mystique, now we're gonna come kill you.
It was just like, it's so much I want to say, but it was kind of like, imagine you watching, even though it's a whole different thing, I'm briefly about to say, imagine you watching Infinity War and you only see the Infinity Stones for like 5 seconds towards the ending. And the Phoenix, you only see it for like literally like what, like 10 seconds or
Yeah, maybe
something like that.
it's not prevalent at all. And like you watch the animated series adaptation, and the Phoenix is going all the time.
Like,
It's like
yeah,
I'm
Goes up
out
the
here.
screen even most of the time. Like legit
Yeah.
takes up the entire like the whole screen.
It literally.
I love the animated series adaptation where she'll be like talking and it'll like flash the Phoenix's face in between. Like
I
it's
love
like,
that.
oh, I love that. Like the animated series for me is my favorite adaptation of the Phoenix Saga. Mostly, I mean, like the cartoon makes me nostalgic as shit because I watched it when I was a child, but it's also like a really loyal adaptation to the comic book. Like it is pretty much the comic book in motion. Is pretty much all it is.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that whenever I was watching this and like having the comic book knowledge first, I'm like, oh wow, some of these lines are literally like from the comic. Like
Straight
some of
from the
these
comic
like
book.
frames are even from the comics, and I'm like, oh this is awesome. Like I hope whenever they continue X-Men 97, that it's like. I hope that they just continue exactly what this show's been doing. I can't really say outside of the Phoenix Saga of this show, but at least
it's interesting. I'm curious as to what they'll do with pivoting to X-Men 97 temporarily, as that has just been announced. You know, the X-Men animated series ran from like 92 to 96. So X-Men 97 implies that they'd be picking up from where they left off. But I feel like you have a good opportunity to not just retell those stories, but tell them in a way that's kind of relevant to other stuff that's going on around the Marvel universe. And I don't think I necessarily want that. Like I think this animated series is a good way for Disney to get their feet wet with the X-Men before they're like, all right, let's throw them into the ringer with the real shit. It's kind of like Disney writers getting a chance to get acclimated with the characters before they really push them into the MCU, which I really, really like. And I cannot wait for. But like, it is interesting because there has been 5 seasons or 4 seasons and then like 3 episodes in season 5 of the X-Men animated series. And I know there's a ton of X-Men stories, but like they told a lot of X-Men stories in those seasons. You know what I'm saying? So like they're going to have to get real creative, which I appreciate. I'm excited for. But nevertheless, I do appreciate the animated series adaptation more than either of The Last Stand or the Dark Phoenix movie. And the Last Stand is starting with X2, like the end of X2, where she just like dissipates and kills Scott. Like I thought it was cool, and it's like a like mind bending what the fuck just happened thing, and like it makes like I love those movies because I watched them when I was like fucking 5. You know what I'm saying? So like they're nostalgic as shit, but like it's not the best adaptation of the Phoenix. It's like hardly even relevant to the movies. And then they're just like they hardly even mention the Phoenix by name in those movies, don't they? Like, is it even said?
In Last Stand, I have watched these movies. Like, my memory is big, so literally what they did in Last Stand was in both films. I can tell you right now, in Last Stand, Professor X said basically that Jean had a dual like personality disorder, and that. And they're like their therapeutic sessions or telepathic sessions or whatever. It called itself the Phoenix. And in Dark Phoenix, the Scott was just walking with her in the mutant party, and it was like, you know what the kids are calling you, Phoenix, you know, like the bird that raises from the ashes and death and stuff like that. So I was just like, what? It's like y'all trying so hard not to give it. Y'all just call it a force, but then just put the names together. It's just do it. It's not.
Well, yeah, and like that's why I'm excited about the MCU's adaptation of this eventually, because I feel like it will be new, it will be original. I don't think it'll be comic loyal in the slightest whenever they get to it. However, I do trust that it will be more based in comics than what the X2 and X-Men The Last Stand did with.
I don't think it will be as grounded as those movies, because
they really didn't. again, that was early 2000s. People weren't ready for the fucking Shi'ar Empire and the Dabari and shit. Like, that's just not something people were gonna go to the theaters to see. It's just the alien races. I mean, think to Thor: The Dark World with the Dark Elves. It's clear that people until recently were very not ready to go venture into space and see these weird races with weird names and shit. But I do appreciate the Dabari being a part of this movie because their personal vendetta against the Phoenix makes a lot of sense. You know, it did destroy their universe, and you know, in the comics, it is Jean Grey binded with the Phoenix that destroys the Dabari system when she
ate a star because she wanted a snack. Yeah,
that's why it's like
I kind of hungry.
Try to remain somewhat loyal, but then just like with the parts that actually matter, they just don't care about. Like
it's. I will say that the Phoenix Saga is too big of a story to keep grounded. It's like I would have went. It's like the Foxman movies tried so many times to like put the Phoenix in, like a lot of times with X2, Last Stand, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix. It's like y'all trying, but this storyline is too big and too vast to keep it more grounded, leveled out for like people. Like I read actual like post that was like legit saying like this is targeted towards like 20-year-olds and also 60 on up for them to understand enough but keep it kind of loyal. I'm like, how?
Well, and see, the thing for me is like as I'm watching that movie, like The Dark Phoenix, I'm waiting for something that I'd never get. I can't tell you exactly what it is I was waiting for, but what I was looking for from that movie never comes around. It ultimately is it's ultimately just underwhelming. Not bad. Like I enjoy watching the movie. I had a good time and it's visually appealing. It's fun, but like there was just something missing, and it is the big universal implications that the Phoenix holds, because it's the light that created the universe practically. Like that's what it's said to be.
Like I would have loved it when she said protect my family, when Jean rose, with her being on fire, that at least like when she opened her eyes, you could at least heard the Phoenix sound effect of like the bird screech, and then you see just the wing. Like it could be not even the whole Phoenix Raptor, just the wings coming out, because that shows like Jean's becoming freer with it. If they wanted to go that route, and then I would have been like, okay, I can take this and be satisfied. It just the Phoenix just wasn't there. Like it was there, but it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be right here until you like lift the shit out this train, and then boom. Like it just
like that shit was tough. Like I love that last sequence on the train.
The final
that
act
shit
was,
is the final act is fun as hell. For the movie, the story they are telling, it is good. While I want more.
Magneto
was that sequence that was was whoever the white-haired lady alien.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
Couldn't remember her name, but like that she could just absorb the Phoenix, like just take it out of Jean. Just like I guess Jean kind of initiated it. It was like like started that process, but then like after that, she could just like I'll take the rest out of you now. Like I don't like. That was the only part.
It's
that was
interesting because they venture into that like slightly in the comics. Like, not with the Dabari or anything, but with Jean's clone, Madeline Pryor, I think is her name. The Phoenix binds with her. It prevents Jean from coming back to life. And then when Madeline ultimately commits suicide, sadly, the Phoenix Force goes back into Jean Grey and revives her. But, like, the splitting of the Phoenix Force, like there's a reason it chooses Jean Grey. It's not like it can just go into somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I thought the whole point was. Is that like it can't. Yeah, like it.
Well,
can't
and then Jean Grey later in the movie they do go. Jean Grey says put go ahead, take the shit. You think you can handle it?
Like, it just didn't.
And you know, like,
yeah. I was just saying, like, it just didn't make sense.
just,
like, why even explain the gene or try to bait her into being like your weapon? Why don't you just scare the shit out of her when you was explaining like the Phoenix was to be like, girl, this is gonna happen to you. You're gonna die. You're gonna blow up. Yeah, that's it. No more Sky. And then do it. If you wanted to do that, I just didn't understand that aspect. Like, you really didn't care about mutants or the human race or nothing. So, like, why didn't you just try to do something there? I just didn't get her point.
Yeah, I guess the movie just tries to accomplish what like the series does in just so much shorter of amount of time. Like they have to go through the whole like thing.
Because I mean, like the Phoenix Saga, like as far as the animated series and the comic books go, that is like at least 5 issues, 5 episodes, which is like an hour and a half. They don't even attempt to touch on the Phoenix Saga part of this story. You know, like it's just like the Phoenix is in her, it's dark. You know, and like a lot of shit happens to make her go dark, you know, and the Phoenix binding with the human emotion, and that's what corrupts it ultimately, you know, like I appreciate that aspect of it. But there was never a good Phoenix here until the end, whenever Jean Grey reins it in. And, you know, you see in the animated series, whenever the Phoenix exits Jean's body and is like, hey, we can bring her back to life. I was tripping, you know, I felt things for a second and I didn't know what to do about that. I'd never done that before. That was crazy. So if y'all want to like come together real quick, hold hands, we can make this shit happen. We'll bring her right back to life. We'll be cool and I'll get out of here.
Like a tear fell down my face, not gonna lie. Like
I got chills watching it. I was like, damn, this is good.
Like whenever Scott and Wolverine were like fighting, like, no, bub, no way, I'm not letting you, like, no chance. And then Phoenix like,
step back, bub.
Well, how about all of you do it? And I was like, oh, like, okay. This, like, I don't have emotional, like, connection, like, with these characters like you guys do. And it still, like, was a good enough story where I'm like, damn, this is, like, a powerful-ass moment. Like, holy crap.
The X-Men, this is the thing about the X-Men that I love, is that, like, what we enjoyed about the family bond of, like, the Eternals and the found family aspect of, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff. That's what the X-Men have, except, like, it's even greater for me just because there's so much more story there with each individual character than what we've gotten so far with the Eternals and Guardians. There's just so much history with the X-Men.
Mm-hmm. It's just like that scene where when like Scott's like, I let you down, and her face just like changes, and Professor is like, oh yeah, that's a big ass bird. Yeah, she needs
that's
to
a big
die.
ass bird.
And like how it was just like the animated series was like really, it really did good. Like, and I really like how it showed like how the Phoenix power worked, especially when like Rose picked up the tree and she like turned it like gold. I think it was gold, if I'm not mistaken. And then like when she released that like that shockwave and like, you know, Doctor Strange and everyone was like, oh yeah,
the Watcher saw it, Thor felt it, like
Spidey.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and it is interesting because like I'm familiar with the Phoenix's, like the Phoenix can kind of do whatever the fuck it wants, basically. But like for some reason I completely forgot it had the transmutation ability to just be like, this tree's gold now. I was like, oh damn, like I was just like, that's wild, that's out of nowhere. I like completely forgot the Phoenix could do that. So when that happened, it really took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And I also like showing a limit on Rogue's ability in that situation when she takes her glove off and touches Jean's face, and Jean's like, go ahead, try.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And
not gonna work. You can't do the Dark Phoenix. I mean, you can do it to somebody else, but not the Dark Phoenix.
And like it's, well, Joseph is representing the audience that might not be great with X-Men lore. Like Joseph, if you remember, especially in the X-Men series, when I told you like how Rogue is in the movies versus how Rogue is in the animated, like she's so much more upbeat and just this like
Rogue is a downer in the original X-Men trilogy.
One thing that I was gonna say, like whenever we talk about the animated things, is like Rogue is one of my favorites in the show. Like she's funny all the time, like, and just that country, that
Southern Belle.
Southern, but like, oh my gosh, like, this Rogue, like, give me this Rogue all day.
Oh my stars.
Give me this Rogue over Demi Lovato, off-brand Demi Lovato Rogue. I don't know. That's all I see. I can only see Demi Lovato in the.
Is that
X-Men,
Anna Paquin who plays Rogue in the original ones? She's a great actress. They did her dirty, dude.
It's just such a weird part to play.
Yeah.
Well, and it does go back to that grounded thing where they were trying to make it like, if this person existed, they would have a tough time being happy. Like, you can't touch anyone. That's rough.
I think it was also like
we'll talk about Rogue at a later date. Let's get back to the Phoenix.
It was what you will say, Colton?
Rogue will certainly have her own little thing at some point here on Mutants Monthly.
Yeah. But overall, like, it was just like, especially when I was younger and I was like very ignorant with the whole Phoenix stuff, and I was watching X2 and Last Night, that was the only things I was kind of like I had. But I remember seeing cause I didn't grow up on a 90s cartoon until I got into the X-Men after the movies. And then I remember saying, like, this McCran crystal can do some shit. Like, this thing is powerful. Like, it can do some shit. And then also, like, to show the bond again when she was making like that connection tree or something like that with the X-Men. Like, it was just like they have so much love for each other that I don't think no one else.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was about to say that, like, I know this is stretching it, and I always stretch it, but like the Eternals' power, like where it comes from, like obviously Harrison created them and all, but like it really sounds like the Phoenix Force like split up into 10 different people. And
there are adaptations where they've done that to the X-Men.
Pretty like. Well, I'm just saying, like, if they're gonna introduce the Phoenix Force like into the MCU as like a legit thing, like it could be the explanation of where the Eternals' power actually comes from,
like the source of the power.
Yeah, like because the Eternals, like each of their power, you can kind of see it mimicked in a lot of other MCU characters that we know.
True.
And like now my mind is always just going hierarchy, like in the MCU, like who's where, like where does everything come from, blah blah blah. And this could be a really cool way to introduce like the Phoenix Force and by in turn the X-Men and everything that comes along with it.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, if the Phoenix Force is the spark that ignites the universe, who's to say that Arishem doesn't in some way harness the power of the Phoenix Force to create the universe?
Yeah.
We'll see. But
I was thinking,
we gotta wait.
Yeah, I was thinking with the MCU. I was thinking if they did the Phoenix stuff, I was maybe like we will see. This is probably a reach, but I was thinking that we probably see the Phoenix Force before we even probably get the X-Men, or some indication of it because of how like grand it is.
I mean, we are getting into the giant cosmic side of Marvel, and it would make sense if the Phoenix Force was in some way relevant, not relevant, but like at least mentioned or in the background somewhere at some point. The interesting thing here, and the MCU has a lot of work to do with the X-Men because of the X-Men's whole thing being that mutants have always existed, and we don't have mutants in the MCU yet, or not always existed, but they've evolved now to exist. And this is where I kind of like, I'm confused by the movies like Dark Phoenix and X2 The Last Stand, is like the Phoenix bonds with Jean at a pretty young age, like when she's a child in the comic books, because she has the power and has the potential to take on the Force one day.
I see.
Now, in the Dark Phoenix movie, I know that she, like, the leader chick says, like, it chose you. Of the leader chick of the Debari, like, she says, it chose you, etc. But I remember at the beginning of the movie when it's, like, moving towards the Blackbird in space, and then she uses her powers to pull the Phoenix Force towards her. I was just kind of like, this is a little convoluted in its messaging, because that's what she does initially. And like, maybe initially she pulls it away from him and then it's like, oh shit, dope, dive into her, you know, but like, they don't make that clear.
Yeah. I like the like cry for help and then the Phoenix choosing Jean Grey. Like that just makes way more sense. Like, somebody please help me. Like, this is my last, you know, cry for help. And the only thing that can notice it is this entity, you know, all of her friends are back there. They can't do anything. And it's just this one last thing that saves her. Like, this storyline is just amazing. Like, going from, like, she's before as just Jean Grey. She's seen, like, even though she's has super mega powerful abilities, like there are multiple
occasions where Charles Xavier's like, she'll pass me one day.
Yeah,
like,
but like,
sure.
She's kind of played off as like the weakest among them. Like, she's very limited and like she doesn't do much. But then, like, the potential that she just grows into, like,
and there's always been this thing in the movies where it's like she, even before the Phoenix is relevant to her, she has a tough time controlling her powers. You know, you see her having a nightmare and the walls crawling and stuff, and it's like, it's just like really, really interesting to see that happen. Like,
I mean, that would be hard. I mean, like, you have to give like the writers somewhat of like some credit, because they're trying to give real emotions to these crazy powers and like real reactions to how people would react and stuff. And a telekinetic, like hearing everyone's thought, hearing everyone's pain, everyone's suffering, like that would be horrible. Like that, like,
oh, it'd be hell.
Yeah, it'd be literally like, if you think your own like bad thoughts are terrible, imagine everyone on Earth, like, or everyone in the universe at that. Like, so like that would be hard. You know, that'd be just so much to deal with. But just passing it off as a multi-personality disorder, or like something, you know, like she's a telepathic, she's telekinetic, she has these powers. Like, you're already dealing with crazy things. Like, I guess the time is just different. But
and I mean, it wouldn't be. It is interesting though, because it's like the in-universe explanations. Like, you need someone who understands the Phoenix and knows what it is in order to articulate that on screen. You know, so like, it would make sense for someone who doesn't know what the Phoenix is to go, okay, well, this looks like it's just a split personality thing, because she's really dark and then she's Jean again and then she's really dark. I will say, my favorite thing about the comic book and animated series adaptation that they don't even come close to touching in the movies is Jason Wyngarde's hand in the Dark Phoenix springing forth. I think Mastermind's like a really dope character that has like, is really powerful and really like kind of understated in the Marvel universe. But the way that he manipulates Jean into like being this like 18th century queen who he's in love with, and they have a real sensual relationship, and he's like, this is real life, stay here with me. Like, it's sick, demented, twisted, but boy, oh boy, is it compelling to watch on screen, you know, like, or to read on the page. And that shit where Cyclops and Wyngarde have to fight each other with swords and stuff, like, that's just like, what the fuck? That's fun as fuck. Who even thought of this? Chris Claremont is just the dude who wrote the comic books for this is just fucking creatively genius for my money. And I will say that first issue where Jean Grey becomes the Phoenix. I think it's Uncanny X-Men 101. Like the first few pages of that book are some of the most beautiful artwork I've ever seen. Like Dave Cockrum just absolutely destroyed that. Like the first time she goes, "I am life incarnate. I am the Phoenix." That shit is tough. I really, really like it. And all the artwork portraying the Phoenix is always really interesting.
Yeah. I was thinking like in the movie with Volk, the leader of the Dabari, it felt like they was trying to do a mastermind type effect with her in a way. Like kind of
manipulating her to a degree. Yeah.
And one thing I liked about through the span of Jean turning from Phoenix to Dark Phoenix is also how her even style of clothing changed in the comic. Like it was more revealing, tighter clothing, cleavage, and how like over time she started being more like open and free with her powers, especially when Dazzler came on board. That was a whole thing she was not about with Scott. Like she was not about that. Like she was, I think like the Phoenix, I think that's when the Phoenix kind of latched on.
Oh, you want to fuck her?
Yeah. I remember in the end.
I'll kill you. I'll cut your dick off straight up.
It was like,
I'll kill her.
What was the one scene?
Yeah, straight up. She'll do anything.
Yeah, what was like the one scene when she was saying something to Scott and she was like, "What, you want to be with her?" and her eyes turned black or something in the cartoon?
Yeah. Oh, they turned the Phoenix, like the yellow glow that she gets whenever she becomes the Dark Phoenix, and Cyclops is like, "Yo, what the fuck? No, like I love you, dude. Like I just like she is in trouble. She is a mutant who needs help."
I mean, she did walk in on them kissing. Like that's the first thing she saw. Like, so I mean, yeah, like, and with all those emotions flowing, like, yeah, she's like, "Oh, nah, like this ain't happening right now." Like,
I don't want to come off like I'm blaming Jean for her feelings here at all. Like she's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I mean, she flew all the way over there.
It is objectively funny because Cyclops is just like, I didn't even. I was just. I mean, I
didn't want to kiss her. Oh, yeah,
that was.
Yes, I mean, like,
what you was gonna say, Colton?
Oh, nothing.
I can also send it into the chat, but there's literally a comic strip when Jean. It's way past the Phoenix saga when she actually Dark Phoenix saga when she kind of her and the Phoenix had like a good streak going on. When Emma Frost kept getting under her skin, and that's literally a page that I screenshotted. And, Emma Frost turns to her diamond skin, and she like shattered Emma Frost and put her back together and said, "Wake up." And Emma Frost was like, "Girl, yeah, you got that. I'm not messing with you no more. Yeah, like you just put me."
Yeah, you got together. That's cool. That's cool. All right.
Yeah, she was like, "No smoke," because like she made herself to like with telepathy to make herself look like Jean in the Dark Phoenix costume, and Jean came into the room was like, "Oh yeah, okay, here we go. You better make me go dark again." Like it was just I just love that comic strip.
Like in the Dark Phoenix movie, wherever, like at the end after the whole train thing, it's like just some goons coming up trying to kill her. Two guys, she kills one of them, kills the other, brings them back to life just to kill them again. Like, like that's the stuff that like they needed to do way more throughout the movie. Like, not just save it for the end, like they saved a lot of that, like just badass moments, like just for the end.
Well, and what's interesting is that like whenever in the movie, whenever the Phoenix, the Dark Phoenix shows herself, it's like a lashing out. Like it's like Jean trying to contain it, and then she can't, and it just springs forth in the slightest way before it hides again. And I know there's that scene whenever she's at her dad's house and she like flips the cop cars and she sends Nightcrawler flying and the Beast, and she moves the shit from under Quicksilver's feet and he goes tumbling and stuff. And like that's a cool scene, but like it doesn't, like Jean could just do that when she was Jean. Like if she wanted to, that was like she was just using her telekinetic abilities. That was all. It wasn't like it was like truly the Phoenix Force doing anything there. But at the end, whenever she's full blown like, yeah, let's fucking do this thing, and she's just murdering motherfuckers,
disintegrating people like out of existence.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah,
not just like killing, not like crushing a skull or like choke. Like no, like they're gone, they're blipped.
Like I love,
Like
yeah,
straight up
They got
doing what
blipped.
Thanos is trying to do. Like, but just on her own. Like, damn.
I love the one alien that
Well, and I liked the Last Stand adaptation of the way they faded
was
away
gonna say.
too, because like I appreciated Jean Grey and the Dark Phoenix. It looked like she was working for it, you know, like she like did something and then like they slowly dissipated. I liked, and like that was the one thing I think X-Men: The Last Stand like really nailed, is when she's just kind of floating and she just kind of like points towards people and they just kind of like fade away, and it's like, oh damn,
She can do that.
that ain't taking effort either. Like she's just doing it. She's Dr. Manhattan in this hoe.
Yeah. One thing I said in like Last Stand, like I really feel like this movie we actually saw like Phoenix power, because also in Last Stand and Apocalypse, it was just like, yes, in Apocalypse they had the Phoenix form, but it was still just another way of showing like aggressive telekinesis. Like it was just very aggressive. But this movie was more like, especially when she got stabbed, and like it wasn't blood coming out, it was like Phoenix energy coming out. And then it just goes in, and she actually like touched one dude's forehead and was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm putting it into you now. Like you're gonna feel what I feel, but you're gonna die."
Yeah. Like I remember when I watched that the first time, she like the shit comes out her body. She's like impaled completely, and then she's just like, all right, just like fades that shit away, heals herself, and is like, all right.
I made him think long
That's
enough
enough.
that he got me. You know, I gave him the satisfaction. Now let me just end his life effortlessly.
Right. Another, like, this is a little bit of a sidebar. It's still the Dark Phoenix movie, but I wanted to touch on it briefly. It's something we didn't get to on Something Blue. Nightcrawler and that last act of Dark Phoenix is absolutely fucking awesome. The way that he's just like, all right, then fuck it, I'm gonna kill all you. The one dude died who was like, it's a shame, my kid was a fan, and then he lets them out and stuff, and like, but when he dies, he's like, all right then, like I'm a murder these aliens.
Shows how powerful that dude can be. If he
was
to be.
stabbing dudes with his tail. He snapped a dude's neck with his tail. I was like, God damn,
dude's got quite the tail. Like, I didn't know he could do that. You know, as I don't know,
like
as a newbie here, like that was cool.
I like how they substituted the debris on the train as like his swords in the comic books in a way. Okay, you know, he has like two swords, so that's kind of like what they substituted it with. But also, Magneto in that fight was so smooth. I'm talking like he was just gliding. Ooh. He was smooth.
Dude, I love, like, well, and again, like, I must say, that last act is some of the funnest and one of the most exciting action sequences across all of Marvel, period, I think, just because of all that's happening, the way they band together at the end to protect Jean, you know. She's like, the chick goes to Magneto and is like, you were trying to kill her like 15 minutes ago. And he's like, yeah, well, I had a change of heart. And then they show the shot of all of them standing there protecting the door. Like, I really like that. Like, and that portrays that found family aspect. And whenever she says she's going to protect her family and lifts the train and engulfs everybody in a little bubble. I like something I wouldn't have anticipated, but I really like was included is that Magneto was a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Magneto's part of the family too. That's like, I really love that. Like the way they give Magneto a little bit of redemption in this movie, but they don't really focus on him, so the story a little bit falls flat. So it's like, that's the thing. The story really just needs more time to expand because there's just so many aspects of it.
Don't know if this is controversial, but like I think I truly like the younger portrayals of Magneto and Professor X more than the older ones, like older age, like the just older
Ian McKellen and
like
Patrick Stewart.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm like just very new to this, and I still have much to watch, but
No,
I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm with you to a degree.
Not
because
Professor
I
X,
think
but
that
Magneto more.
Nah, I'm more with. See, that's the thing though. I fucks with Ian. It's just that I think what happened is the material, visual effects. It's the portrayal of the character and other aspects that gets more exciting. Like Magneto in these latest movies is so much more exciting just because you can portray his power so much more cooler and with a lot better CGI, and like it just looks better. And frankly, Michael Fassbender is fucking fantastic as Magneto. But I can't. The fact that James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender like held up, the fact that they got 4 actors to play 2 characters and it feels seamless, like it's like all 4 of these people nailed it, it's fucking outstanding. More on that on Mutants Monthly #1, where we've discussed Professor X and Magneto at length. But yeah, dude, and again, Professor X in this movie is just kind of underwhelming.
Yeah,
the fact that he's really not power hungry, but he's on a power trip, rather. Like
he won't let it go. Like yeah, he just.
It's about the fame now, which is never something that Professor X was about. Like so, like that aspect of it, I was just kind of like, doesn't feel right. It didn't feel like it, and it doesn't feel like a sequel to Apocalypse for his character. Like it doesn't feel like that's what comes next for him. I don't know.
It's literally like he comes from like first class to down in Days of Future Past and back up in Apocalypse and now down in Dark Phoenix. It's just and you would think like he would have a lot more heart to heart with Jean. And another thing I felt that was like uncomfortable in this movie was how good of a sisterhood Storm and Jean has. If y'all didn't notice, they didn't say not one thing to each other in this movie. Not one line.
No, yeah, not a single thing was said.
I'm just like, Storm is like her homegirl. Like Storm makes Jean invited to the cookout, and they didn't say not one thing. Like it was just like.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the comic books and you look at the animated series, and it's kind of like Storm is always a rock, and obviously this is the young Storm. She hasn't grown up yet, but like she's to an even greater degree Jean's rock. Like they're like homeboys. They are best friends in the fucking comic books, and you just don't get that here. It doesn't emanate at all. But and like I said, it has the bones. Like it has the structure to be a good movie. They just didn't give it enough time to let it happen. And frankly, studios like when movies are 2 hours or less and you can get in, get out, get your money and leave. But sometimes like this should have been a 2-part movie. It should have been 2 movies. Like
the Phoenix, then the Dark Phoenix,
and then the Dark Phoenix. Like that's probably
2
how it should have
seasons
been.
in a movie.
2 seasons and a movie. Yeah, frankly, you could make this whole thing. You could make this a whole season of television if you wanted to. Like, and we're talking about movies. I'm not gonna Foxman really should have just adapted this for FX. But it was solid. It was solid.
Did y'all
it could have been a lot better.
I know I said this with when me and Joseph were watching it, but I want to say if you noticed. Did you notice like the train was like you didn't know where the destination was, but like all the guards had like MCU badges. Like that's where he was heading to, an MCU. And this was like the last.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, me and Joseph was like, oh, look at that. And this is the last
and then like at the end. At the end, whenever Jean's just talking, like monologue, and it's basically like their send off, like here you go, like MCU, like here, like this is our last.
This is not the end of me.
Yeah, like I don't know, it was really cool to kind of see Fox like kind of.
Well, and frankly, I love all of these castings. I don't have beef with a single adaptation of a character in terms of performance. Like, they all work really well with the material they're given. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think that a really fun redemption for these actors and would be for them to get their roles back in the MCU. I think that would just be satisfying.
I think Sophie Turner is like, I think definitely if Jean Grey's coming, like Sophie Turner's.
How do you miss that opportunity though? Because like she's like 25,
and you already got Kit Harington and I always forget Rob's
Emilia Clarke.
No. Rob.
Emilia Clarke's going to be in Secret Invasion, who was Daenerys Targaryen. Then you got
just get everyone from Game of
Thrones. Richard Madden as Richard Madden, Rob Stark as Icarus, and
the thing
MCU is just trying to engulf every single universe into itself. They're just trying to get every universe into the MCU. Like Mark Hamill, hopefully coming in, they're going to engulf Star Wars. I mean, it's already a Disney property, so anything they can get their hands on, it's.
I'm ready.
One thing I liked about also with Sophie Turner was like, her face acting was amazing, but then she was also like she brought like the beauty in Jean Grey. Like she like naturally pretty looking. Like really, even when like her, like that one scene where they're in the house and her hair's floating and it's nothing but cracks.
Like really,
I was like, she looks pretty, but like dangerous. It was, I loved it.
I was watching the movie with Emily, and she was like, they made Sophie Turner hot in this movie, and I was like, they did. they really did.
Even the scene where she like is out in the alley, rain falling on her face, like at her low, she's still looking like
very pretty.
Like,
she's a pretty woman.
Yeah.
And like the scene where she said that was when it's like really early in the movie. It's like when they're just back at the mansion and she thinks she's heard her dad and she's telling Cyclops like, I have to go, but he won't let her leave. And then she puts him to sleep. She's just wearing like a white t-shirt, and Emily was like, she's fucking hot. I was like, yeah, that's a good look for her. But yeah, Sophie Turner just absolutely demolishes this role. Like she really, really does a good job. She's a fantastic actress. And, I mean, I have a soft spot in my heart for Famke Janssen back with the original adaptation of X2 and X-Men and The Last Stand and stuff. Like I love that actress in that role, but I think Sophie Turner just takes it to a different level a little bit. She does a really good job.
I wish they continued that voice sound effect. They only had it one time in the movie when she was saying stop, 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 stop at the thing, and then when she said stop, her voice was like doubled. Stop. I wish they continued that when she was talking in the Phoenix, but like just imagine.
Well, and they do that in the animated series whenever she talks. It's a little
Listen,
it does sound more menacing. It's like that's
like when she says so show me, walk to me. If she would have said that with like the double layer, I would have been like, ooh. And when she made Professor X just walk up the stairs, I was like, all right, that is so disrespectful. Like
that was so
disrespectful. It was so disrespectful because she could have just lifted him out of the chair and brought him up.
Yeah.
Like she made him walk up.
And the fact that she crushed his chair too. Didn't even like give him the chair's done, like that chair's gone. He's one step, just every single step she's making him hit. Like, I don't know. I remember like, I was just I was like, damn, this is badass. Like this part of the movie, I was like, I don't know. This was just awesome.
And I will say, while I don't like Professor X in the first half of this movie. Mm-hmm. It's the second half of this movie where he really does become more Professor X like. It really is just the power tripping weird. Like Mystique was right. Like she absolutely was right about Professor X being completely and utterly irresponsible and drunk on power and like kind of just like doing whatever the fuck he wants because he felt like he could. And at the end, whenever he's like, his veins are turning black and he looks like he's about to fucking die, and he tells her to look into his mind and plays her all the memories. I was like, okay, now this is what Professor X and Jean Grey are all about. Like, this is a really good adaptation of their relationship.
They just needed a reason to delay that moment from happening, like him just showing her. And yeah, the storyline they gave him was just kind of weird. Like, yeah, just very, very. I don't know, because I guess no, he couldn't have just done that at the beginning because she was all, lashing out and crazy. So I guess, I don't know. Maybe just they wanted the Phoenix to shine, so they just, every other character around them, they just gave a weird aspect to their story that, I don't know. Yeah. But
no, yeah, it is interesting because, like, another thing that, like, because I don't like the Mystique dying thing, it immediately corrupts like half this movie, because a lot of the character storylines are based around the fact that Mystique has died. And like I expressed this in our Something Blue episode a couple Mutants Monthlies back when we were talking about Mystique's character, is that, like, she was on the rise. Like, she was the leader of the X-Men. Like, that is clear. And if you want to portray the Phoenix getting out of control, you could have killed literally anyone else there in that scenario.
Like, even the police officers. Like, not even an X-Men.
Right.
If they wanted to hurt Magneto, wouldn't it make more sense to, like, kill Quicksilver and then he find out that's his son, since they was, like, doing that story arc already? Just, like, this kill Quicksilver. Magneto finds out, because that's the last blood he has, and then kill Jean. Like, try to kill her. That would have made more sense to me.
Now, that makes more sense for Magneto for sure. Like, I mean, like, obviously I like it. It also makes sense for Magneto to want to kill her after she kills Mystique. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. That makes more sense for Magneto regardless. It was the Beast part that I really had beef with.
So out of character.
No, yeah. Like, and up to that point, like, up to this movie, they did a pretty good job with Hank McCoy and the Beast character overall. And then again, in the second half of this movie, he realizes his mistake and he comes back around and stuff, which is good. And ultimately what you want out of the movie by the end, like, because like I've said, the Beast is one of my favorite fucking X-Men. So, like, whenever that is the basis of a storyline, I get annoyed because it's like, that's just not something he'd be like.
In the animated series, like at the very beginning, or something, I think it was closer to the beginning. But you have Professor X and Scott arguing, like, if you would have told us everything, like, this would have even happened to Jean, blah, blah, blah. And the professors, they're just going back and forth. Hank just comes out and is like, emotions are clouding your guys' judgment. Both of you are wrong. Here's what's right. Goodbye. Good day. Interesting. Or whatever. Fascinating. Yeah, that's his word. Fascinating. And then just walks off. And they're just like, all right. Like, damn. Yep.
He's like, that's the thing. He's the one with a level head.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it doesn't make sense for him to be like, let's kill this bitch. Like, it just doesn't.
Like that scene where, like, Jean went, like, full Dark Phoenix mode in front of Scott, and the episode picked up on that moment when everyone's looking like this and Storm says, do not do it. He just like, oh dear. Like, he is not phased. Like, he just like, oh dear. That's just it. But y'all said something. I was gonna say something. Y'all said something that was such a valid point.
It was about Magneto.
No, it was something about Professor. It was, I think for, like, the first time in X-Men movies that we really get a look inside someone's head with, like, the CGI that, like, Cerebro had inside Jean's mind. Like, the way it looked and how you, like, if you paid attention, like, how when Jean was waking up, it was slowly turning from, like, a jellyfish type of CGI to more, like, Phoenix fire animation. Like, it was just, like, Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm going to break your whole machine. I just.
No.
It,
Is there a point in the I've been watching so much Phoenix content lately that I'm kind of blending stuff together in my head. Is there a point in the Dark Phoenix movie where Scott goes into her head? Okay, then I'm thinking of the animated series. I'm thinking of the animated series whenever he goes like, is this what's going on in your mind? Like, oh fucking God, this is dark. You know, like I would have appreciated more of that out of like the Dark Phoenix movie, like because they do emphasize the Scott Jean love connection quite a bit and trying to get her back. Like whenever Professor X and the whole team show up to her dad's house and they're like, Professor X is like, "Come on, Jean, come home, we love you, come on back," and then she's like, "No," and then he's like, "Scott."
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Scott makes his bid.
Get your baby father out there. But, like, I just didn't, I kind of get why they was mad at Professor X, but, like, he could have told her what happened when she got older, pre-Phoenix. But, like, what is he going to tell an 11-year-old girl, like, hey, your father don't want you no more because you killed your mom? Like, is he literally going to tell this little girl
No, yeah.
that?
I don't have beef with that aspect of Professor X's storyline at all. He was in the right. Like, I mean, and it's confusing because I don't know exactly what age Jean Grey's supposed to be in this. Like, is she supposed to be like 18, like 17, 18? Like, or are they like out of high school?
It's
early
10
20s
years
at this
after
point?
Apocalypse. It takes place 10 years. Apocalypse is in the 80s. This is in the 90s.
Oh God damn. Okay, so she's 20s for sure. I did not realize that. Okay.
Could have maybe told her.
Then yeah, he should have told her earlier. But that's
maybe
the thing that it's
like 18, 21, like conversation.
Like
hey,
you are
sit down,
freshly an adult. Let's talk about this. I wanted to express to you that your father isn't dead. It is a tough conversation to have. You know, like it's
wrong if he wants to keep it from her forever. That's wrong. Like the idea should be like, just at a later date, I can tell you this thing. And if she's that old, that's kind of pushing it a little bit. But I don't know. It's a tricky situation. Like he was never prompted.
Like, I certainly wouldn't want to have. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to have that fucking conversation. That sounds awful. Like, hey, so your dad didn't want you. I took you in. He said you were a lost cause. Like, and that shit where when she goes to his house and she looks at the pictures and she goes like, all these pictures and not a single one of me. I was just like, fuck.
It was so uncomfortable.
Like, these things make me like. That's why the Dark Phoenix aspect of the story is actually pretty well done. Like, you know, like I absolutely get how the emotions got to the Phoenix and corrupted it to the point where it went dark, because dark shit happened. Mm-hmm. She finds out she killed her mom and that her dad didn't want her anymore. Or like my whole world died that day and it went with you.
The Phoenix really chose
that line.
That
line to me goes
to jump into to experience emotion first. Like as first emotions to be experiencing, these aren't the best ones.
Yeah, like I can just feel like the Phoenix just jumped in. It's like, oh girl, you killed your mom, and then dad. Like it's just like a lot going on.
Damn, yeah, just damn, just over and over.
And it's just, but I think like also the comic strip of like Jean also getting the Phoenix, and I've said this before to Joe, but like it's so heartbreaking comic book wise how Jean got it. Like this how like shriveled and skinny and burnt up she looked. It was just, and then like I love the line, I could always quote it when she says, in order to take the X-Men, I would dance with the devil himself, and I also wants to live. Like that's a thing. And the Phoenix also warned her, saying, "This fire I'm giving you will warn you, but it will always consumes." So it's like you're going to be, you know, kind of messed up in the end. But she just wanted to save her family, and that was just, oh god.
Well, I'm fascinated. by the Phoenix Force. So, like, is its motivation to enter Jean Grey purely like, let's see what happens here,
Just curiosity,
is it also acting on impulse, like saving her, and then it also leads to the is there a double fallen angel here where it's like not just the Phoenix?
Because when impulse have to indicate emotions, and like the Phoenix don't really feel anything until it goes inside Jean's body,
right?
So it's kind of confusing.
Right.
I think it was just like an agenda. Like, hey, I remember you stopped this girl, Annie Richardson, from passing over for a second. Let me see what you really about while you're healing. And just I really think it kind of got messed up. It wanted to feel the physical, but it was like, oh, this is a lot of information. Because in the comic books, it actually takes like a span of 4 years, like when the issues was coming out for Jean to turn dark. And that's like 4 years of like,
she becomes the Phoenix in issue 101 and isn't the Dark Phoenix until like in the 140s or 130s. Like, it's like,
whoa.
And it's a monthly issue. Like, it takes forever before the Dark Phoenix
that changes
corrupts.
like my whole perspective, because I was like under the impression, like from the movies and everything, that it's like kind of an immediate like almost immediate, you know, like
no, it's a slow burn. She is cool with the Phoenix for a while before it really gets out of hand. And like, obviously, like, you can only really express that in a compelling way in the TV show format, because like, if a movie ends and it's like she's bonded with the Phoenix, it's like okay, that was a cool movie. What are we doing here? But like, it is important to have that part of the story, I think, because like it does show that Jean is powerful enough to be down with this thing for at least a while. Like, it's not like it's not like it immediately corrupts her every time.
And then you got to understand, like, after the real legit, when she woke up from Mastermind's like compulsion along with Emma Frost's help, you got to understand that this is years built up of believing this fantasy, absorbing all these new emotions that's hitting her simultaneously, and you know, mutant rights situations too, and Scott Love and Mastermind having sex with her for that, all that to wake up and like, you had sex with me, and you it was a lie.
Like rape?
No, yeah, like Mastermind's whole aspect of the story is like one of the worst things anyone can do to a person, because it's the highest absolute max level of gaslighting. Like, it's like there isn't a higher level of gaslighting than when you can convince someone they live in a different reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, that
is insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like it's just awkward, the things he does, but like, just because it's in a superhero world and like you're kind of suspending those things, you know, like you're not really thinking of that he's this old, like, writhed man, you know, doing this to Jean. Like, you know, it's like,
that's just
like,
so nasty.
Just yeah, like,
like that's why I'm happy that
at least he has chops, you know, like at least he's somewhat good looking in the reality, but yeah, I don't know. Doesn't really fix it.
No, it doesn't fix shit. It's it's an interesting storyline, and like something that the Foxmen, like, the reason they can't incorporate that into the Dark Phoenix storyline is because the Hellfire Club was introduced 10 years ago in the First Class. So it's like, and they were done away with in the First Class. That was
actually,
it. They never revisited the Hellfire Club again.
I think that was more than 10 years ago, because Apocalypse, then you have Days of Future Past when he was like way young.
Oh no, I meant like in the in
the real world,
not in the story. Yeah. In the real world, it'd been at like 2011 when First Class came out, 2019 when Dark Phoenix came out.
Yeah.
No worries, I get you. No, because it was way longer than 10 years ago. shit, that would have been like 30 years ago by the time Dark Phoenix
And it's
comes
crazy
around.
how James McAvoy, and literally in the 90s to the 2000s, he suddenly goes to Patrick Stewart. Like, what happened? Like, that stress has got to him. Like, wow. Because you aged.
No, yeah. Well, what's also funny too is like when I go back and I watch like X-Men, like I like remember Patrick Stewart looking like a lot older than he actually looks in that role. Like he looked like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's definitely in his older years. Like he's definitely 50 plus at this point. But like, you look at James McAvoy in the 90s here, and he's like clearly 35. So it's like some shit really got to him really fast.
Yes, and
it's kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi going from Ewan McGregor to to A New Hope real quick.
Yeah. And oh man, but also with like the MCU,
Guinness.
like what Joseph was saying about Mastermind, like what he did to Jean, like this being that disgusting in the comic book. Was like, I'm happy that we got Eternals because of how dark the MCU can get enough for that to kind of be like, not saying like this they gonna show this man doing that to Jean, but like the older audience could be like, and then they could kind of tinker with that more with the MCU.
They could imply things and stuff.
The introduction of a Moon Knight, a Dark Knight, or Black Knight and Blade give me credence to like the X-Men storylines. They can dive into them without like any
Really
real repercussion. Back. Yeah, like I think they're hopefully gonna be okay with more like twisted and like weird ideas, because that.
Well, and there's a lot of really weird X-Men storylines that do have a little bit of a horror tone, like the fucking Brood and shit like that. Like that'd be wild to see in live action. It's like only been executed in comic books, but if you saw the Brood in live action, that would straight up be a horror movie.
Like a Nightcrawler horror, or like even a Dark Phoenix horror, like that'd be sick. Like a time where she's just on rampage, just going off. Like give her an Ultron moment, if Dark Phoenix just gets what she wants, like be sick.
It's just
Well, she'd do exactly what Ultron did. She'd take out every son in the fucking universe.
I would have loved it when she got done talking to Volk, the main lady and the main villain in Dark Phoenix, when she came out of the room and it was like an effect of her wearing like the Bari alien clothes that was kind of like a substitute for the Black Queen look. And I would have loved her. She first of all, Sophie Turner, that look, and wow. But and then like when she's like all tied up and bound, that kind of implicates what the Hellfire Club is in the train. And then when she wakes up, it's like a whole Phoenix gear. I would have been like, oh yeah, they like. I wish I was on the team for this movie.
Right. No. Well, and there's also this interesting thing that they're playing with when it comes to these new X-Men movies, because Days of Future Past kind of like rewrites things. It's like, okay, the X-Men X2 and Last Stand didn't happen now because we've rewrote history. And at the end of Days of Future Past, we jump to Logan being in the mansion, Professor X being like, "Oh shit, you're back. Dope. Okay, let me tell you what's been happening." And he sees Cyclops and he sees Jean Grey. So it's interesting that like the idea is still that's where it ends up.
Yeah.
They're not good with continuity at all. But the idea is that that's where it ends up.
So does Jean? Well, Jean is still alive because in Dark Phoenix, see the Phoenix go across the sky. Do she somehow morphs her body back into Jean?
Come back.
She's like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out here a bit. I still got my powers, but hey, I'm still gonna hang out.
No, yeah, it's interesting. It's just interesting, like it's like they take some liberties with the continuity of the whole universe and kind of just say fuck it. they're just like, we'll kind of tell a contained X-Men story every movie with like a little bit of a connection to the last film or the films prior. Like, I think, like you said earlier with like the red trench coat thing and the like, that was an obvious homage to the fact that she would one day become the version of Jean Grey we see in The Last Stand that wears the red trench coat and stuff. That is the that is that version of the Phoenix. So it's just really interesting whenever those little things seep through to where it's like, okay, so this person still could become that person. And with Mystique dying in this film, it's like she wasn't even around for the events of X-Men or any of that. Like, it's just like, it's a really interesting, convoluted whole thing they've got going on.
I just remember something, and I briefly told Joseph about it. But beyond Dark Phoenix, when he had Madeline Pryor after Dark Phoenix, when Iron Man, I think it's Iron Man, and like I really think it's Iron Man when he finds like a cocoon in the bottom of Jamaica Bay, and like out comes Jean Grey with the dress. So like whole time that was never Jean Phoenix to Dark Phoenix. That was Phoenix, like kind of like going psychotic and forgot it was like a godlike entity and it thought it was really this mortal girl. And it was like, oh yeah, I was big tripping dummy. Like, wow. It was like, and then Jean, and then,
No, I was just going to say the Phoenix is just a wild entity. And like the fact that it can be, it's not just that it corrupts with human emotion. Like, it's also not its fault, which is interesting. You know, like, it's like, it never means for any of this to happen. Like, it's, so like, it creates this interesting little aura around its story where it's like, it's not necessarily a villain. It's just feeling for the first time.
Yes, feeling.
Didn't know it was going to get into this. It just kind of happened. It like, almost like, we've got Jean Grey, who's a victim, certainly, to the Phoenix, but like, Phoenix is a little bit of a victim to the emotions of Jean Grey, which is interesting. I mean, like, I don't sympathize with it or anything, but like it's like, it's a little rough. It's a little rough being the Phoenix at the moment. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
I also like how in some comic books that Jean dies so much with the Phoenix that comes back and dies that on her tombstone it says Jean Grey, she will rise again. Like, it's going to happen. And I love every time when Jean's like dead, and because that's like a scene kind of like Marvel Zombies look like when Jean is like part skeleton and part form, when the Phoenix is like re like whatever to her, like healing her or whatever. Like, I just love like how Jean is like sleep in her casket and the Phoenix is like, can we just like link up one more time? And she's like, I know damn well you ain't coming back here. Like, girl, it's been like 7 times I have died. Yeah. Leave me alone. Like, now you going for my daughter? Yeah. Like, it's like, now you going for my child? Like, Rachel Grey, you going for my child?
Yeah, the Rachel Summers aspect of the Phoenix storyline is really interesting too. Or Rachel Summers Grey, Jean Grey Summers. There's a whole bunch of versions of their names. Is it Rachel Summers in the Avengers versus X-Men?
Rachel Summers, yeah.
That
and
it's like the Phoenix
Rachel Grey Summers.
The Phoenix is trying to get to her, and the X-Men are protecting her, but the Avengers are like, we gotta do something about that. Like, we can't let the Phoenix Force.
And Scarlet Witch and Phoenix kind of went toe to toe in that comic or something. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got the whole graphic novel, Joe. I know you probably haven't read that or anything. It's one of the most brilliant storylines I've ever read. I absolutely love it, but I'll absolutely lend it to you. But yeah, we get the Phoenix 5 in that, where Cyclops, Emma Frost, Colossus. Who are the other two?
Magic and Magneto.
Yeah. There you go. They form the Phoenix 5, where the Phoenix is split among them. and it's really fucking cool. It's really cool.
That does sound pretty sick.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool, and the comic the costume design in all of those is fucking brilliant. But yeah, in that comic book, it's interesting because it's like the Phoenix is even more corrupted. Like, it's to an even greater degree. They seek to like dominate the world and stuff. Like, it's the weirdest. It's one of the weirder storylines in the Phoenix's arsenal, because it does deviate a little bit from the whole. It seemingly seeks to conquer in that storyline, which is interesting.
That's even a story. Oh, sorry.
No,
that's
go ahead.
Even like a storyline when like Thanos' son uses the Phoenix Force against him. Because I remember reading it. I can't remember if it's Phoenix in song. It's something with Thanos' son. I can't remember his name. But it's
Thane.
what?
Thane.
Yeah, when he uses it and he like goes against his like father, and of course Thanos has some type of situation going on, and like Thanos is smart. Like he didn't outsmart the Phoenix, but like he definitely that was just a whole nother storyline that was like actually really cool, because that was a twist ending I didn't even think about. And like it's just like crazy how the Phoenix is always in something with Marvel. Like it's like every single Marvel team she has kind of interacted with, like the Nova Corps, Fantastic Four, Avengers, like.
No, and that's what's interesting is that while the Phoenix Force was created by Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum for the X-Men, it has certainly since been all over the Marvel universe, and that's another aspect of like the MCU adaptation. Do we even like is it Jean Grey? Like, do they just go with the Phoenix Force with someone else and they're just like, fuck it, we'll do something else? I don't exactly want that to happen. I'd at least want it to start with Jean Grey. But beyond that, I don't know. It can do it. It's always around. It's not like it fucking dies. Yeah. It's just.
Wouldn't it be cool?
I've never read a Marvel story. I've never read a story where the Phoenix is dead at the end. You know what I'm saying?
I think it would be so cool at like a final Guardians.
It is life incarnate.
Yeah, I would think it would be so cool, like the final Guardians of the Galaxy movie at the post credit when they just flying off into peace, and all of a sudden all you see is like this real quick, like a fast flying like Firebird just go past. It's like 1 second, and then we like, what was that?
Well, yeah, and that would be the place that like where we're gonna see it. It would be Guardians or it would be Eternals, like something cosmic. Thor: Love and Thunder, like and like it's actually really interesting. If you go to like the Phoenix's wiki on fandom, it lists Thor as its son.
Yeah, because she had a relationship with Odin, right? Yeah,
at some point.
Phoenix had a
that dude Odin, man, holy crap! He get
Odin be fucking the Phoenix. How is that even happen?
Well, wouldn't the Phoenix get him up to burn him?
Yeah, like
he would get burnt
in theory. You fought with a Phoenix, get burnt.
Yeah, he said, "Man, I was Odin. Deep in that fire."
All right, respect to Odin, man. Maybe we put him a little too low on our bracket.
That is
maybe this dude
Firebird.
I see. I didn't want to be the one to bring it up, so Colton, thank you.
No, it's a really interesting little bit of the lore of the Phoenix that like Thor is its son. What the fuck? But I really do love the Phoenix, like the whole idea of it. And all the names it's gone by, the end of all that is, the evil omnipotent Firebird, Black Angel, Chaos Bringer, Cosmic Firebird. Like,
I'm glad the Phoenix is like the thing that's bringing me back into the X-Men, thing that's like starting this X-Men swing for me. Because I think this is probably one of the strongest X-Men storylines that they got.
Certainly up there.
Yeah,
it's certainly one of the most iconic. There's no doubt about that. there's even a Easter egg in Stranger Things episode 1 where they're riding home from Mike's house after they finish playing D&D. It's Will and Dustin riding next to each other on their bikes before Will gets taken by a Demogorgon, where they're racing, and the prize is an X-Men comic issue, and it's the first issue where she becomes the Dark Phoenix. So like even that little sprinkle there, like it's one of the most iconic storylines in all of X-Men. And one of my favorite aspects of Jean Grey's story on the whole is her love triangle with Cyclops and Logan. Mostly because I love that I love Logan and I love the Wolverine, one of my favorite characters in all of Marvel. And there isn't a character who brings out the soft side of Wolverine besides Jean Grey. Like, he really cares about her. And that always makes it really, really compelling, because like he loves the X-Men, he loves his family and stuff, but you know, he's brooding, he's get the fuck out of my face. You know, that sort of thing. But at the end of that animated series adaptation of the Phoenix, whenever Cyclops is like, then I'll do it, trade my life for hers, like, and then he's like, nah, bub, that's not gonna fly. Bub. I got this shit.
I love the he should. I'm kind of sad that Hugh Jackman didn't say the word bub a little more.
Yeah, he threw it out a couple times, but he certainly didn't do it as much as Bub is thrown out in the animated series.
But
Bub is like a staple of Wolverine for sure.
I like that you bring up the love triangle, because one of my favorite like Phoenix moments just in general is it's Scott and Jean on top of like this super tall mountain. It's like the first like they just had like, I think it was after like, the Imkron Crystal battle.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like after all this crazy stuff, it's like finally just a moment where they can like breathe and just talk. And you know, Scott's going all like, oh, well, what are we gonna do now? What's the next step in our mission? You know, what do we gotta do? And then Jean's like, will you just shut up and be Scott for a second? Just be my boyfriend. And then she's like, let me take off your glasses. Oh yeah, by the way, you can look at me with your naked eyes now. I can stop, you know, that easily, like no problem.
Yeah.
There you go. And then they just, you know, like that was like, it's just so just comics are just so much better. Like, I've learned that just comic storylines are just so much better. And if you read them first, you're only going to be disappointed with live action adaptations, because you know how good it can be.
Yeah, you at least know how big it can be.
Yeah,
like, because that's usually what happens with TV and movies, is that they take whatever happened in the comic books and they're like, let's make this a little less comic book, because the comic book campiness is what makes them go eek. You know, like that's the problem typically.
Yeah.
I was just gonna keep building on the love triangle thing here with I love that in the animated series. There are moments whenever Jean and like you see Jean and Cyclops like together all the time, and then you'll also they'll like pull the camera back and Logan will be like sitting there all fucking sad, and it's like, damn, bro, this poor dude is just simping over this woman. And the thing about the love triangle when it comes to the Phoenix saga that's really interesting to me is that you know, Cyclops is afraid of Jean. He is actively scared of her. And I don't get that sense from Logan. You know, like, I feel like if there's anyone who can, like, I mean, like, you see it in The Last Stand a little bit more than you see it anywhere else. Like, the person who can handle Jean the most in those moments is the person who's the hardest and ready for fucking anything.
That's true.
And that person's Logan.
Now you say that, like, Scott always backpedaled. He always was like, oh my, you know, like very scared, very cautious.
Well, and he'd say the right thing out loud, but Jean can read your mind, buddy.
Yeah.
She knows you're afraid of her.
Wolverine, yeah, he really, like, thinking even back to The Last Stand, like, wherever Jean's like lashing out, and they're like, making out, and then he's like, whoa, like, this isn't Eugene. Like, he's just like very like,
and that's another thing that I loved about that character in those movies specifically, is that he was like, okay, hold up, no, like, I want this.
Yeah, it's like
I want
everything he's always wanted. Yeah,
this is all I've ever wanted, but I can tell this isn't you. You're not in your right headspace.
Mhm.
And I love that he was so good about that. He didn't take advantage of it. He was like, all right, we can't, like, this is not the time. This isn't how I want this to happen.
Yeah.
And in the animated series, whenever Jean's like he's holding Jean in her arms and she's like, please do it. Please kill me. And he goes, yeah, I can't. And like, she throws him off of him after she turned back into the Phoenix. And then but then you get the flip of it in The Last Stand, where the only person who can't be faded away is the person with the adamantium skeleton.
That moment was nice. Like, out of that movie, that moment.
I loved it. I do enjoy the ending there. Like, and it is because they make Hugh Jackman's Wolverine the focal point of those movies. Like, he's pretty much the main character. Which, I mean, say what you will, there should have been more of everybody else for sure. But we did get a lot of Wolverine there, and it's part of the reason that I love Wolverine now. So I don't hate the movies for that reason.
Yeah.
But when he does kill Jean, and while it's like, he probably wouldn't be able to do that to the Phoenix anyway. It hits hard, and it is a really just like, fuck moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause when he like holds her and he's crying and then he looks up and he yells, no, like, God damn, do I feel that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
it's just great.
I love, like, also, like, when he's like, I can't do it, Jeannie. And she's like, how touching. And it's be like that. But Scott is the one that, like, let a whole building, like, a whole thing just fall on her. Like, he's like, I can do it, though. But, like, even though the movies kind of, like, made it seem like Jean was really, really into Wolverine, but it seemed like more like the animated in the comics, like, she cared for him, but it was still, like, Scott always won. It's like, it was majority always.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, Wolverine was friend zoned to the max. Yeah,
max.
100%.
Like, it was just
yeah. And I think that, like, because I love Wolverine, like, that's one of the things that I like about the movies, is that he has a little bit more of a chance. Like, he doesn't get it, but, like, he does have a little bit more of a chance.
Short and rugged and probably smells. He just like, Gina's like, I'm too posh for this. I'm a gray. And it's like, like, don't touch me.
It's true. She needs the city boy.
And Scott, and, like, the Foxy movies really didn't portray, like, Scott. Yeah, Scott did backpedal, and he was very sweet to Jean, but in the comics, like, when it was time to get dirty, like, he definitely could. He was like, oh yeah, I don't play about my girl. I don't play about her. But it's like in the movies, he was just so, it's like they wanted, in Last Stand, I said this to Joseph, it's
beta.
like them,
soy boy beta
them killing Scott and then killing Professor very early on. It's like they wanted Jean to fail. Like, they wanted her to fail in Last Stand. Okay, you took away the, like, her heart and then her father figure. So it's like, and it was very big pieces in the Phoenix Saga to, like, bringing her back. So that's just, I don't know.
No, yeah, and that's the thing about The Last Stand that really falls apart, is that, like, there are elements of that movie that is just like, man, this is out there even compared to what they do in the comics. Like, by killing Professor X and then also killing Cyclops at the end of X2.
Yeah, when Professor X just exploded, I was like, he's not dead.
Your face,
I'm like,
Joseph, your face was just like...
But I was like, wait, he just exploded. Like, that dude's fucking dead. I'm like, that dude's dead. And then they showed his grave, and I'm like, that dude's dead. I just couldn't believe it. Like, whenever she kills Scott too, like in the very beginning, I'm like, they didn't show him die. Like, he's not dead. Like, yeah, no way. And then they're like,
And then you see Wolverine show up, and the glasses are floating there,
and I'm like,
stuff,
wait
and
a minute.
You still
Like,
held
damn,
on
she
hope.
really killed him.
This man still held on hope.
I was holding on for so long, man.
Well, and then you get to that post-credit scene in The Last Stand, and it's Moira McTaggart taking care of a body, and
That
then,
was kind of cool.
you know, Charles wakes up because he can like transfer his consciousness into someone else's body.
Mentioned it before. He's like, yeah, we're looking at this patient. He's, you know,
but that
completely past everything.
Becomes a problem again because in The Wolverine, he shows up post-credit to Days of Future Past. That's going to happen next. As Patrick Stewart again, and he's like, "How?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "You know, you're not the only one with power as Logan." And it's like,
but maybe he in the like brain dead body, he's using his power to show everyone else that he's Patrick Stewart. You know, like he's basically just
projecting the image of him,
because it'd be weird just to see a brain dead, like, you know, like I don't know, like. Just random guy, you know, that they know.
Yeah. I think that's the easiest write-off.
Yeah,
there.
hopefully
it's like, he's just projecting the image of himself into everyone else.
Yeah, because that body was gone, you know.
No, he's done.
Reduced to atoms. Yeah.
And I want to pitch this theory that I have to Colton. I really want to pitch it. Okay. So the whole thing about them saying that, you know, why Jane didn't have, you know, her costume and stuff, they said it was no way to show like how Jane would get it. Now in Dark Phoenix, you know, my brain all tinkering. You remember when in the beginning they had the, you know, the X with the yellow right here, and you know what color the Phoenix is in that movie. So why didn't they just do a little simple thing when like she gets it, it like bleaches the black part of the suit red. And then, like, the middle part that's already yellow, it's like this. It's just that. Boom.
Yeah. Boom. I couldn't tell you. No, yeah, it is interesting. I think that is one of my biggest gripes with the Foxman movies overall is the costume design, and we talk about that a lot last month. There's only a couple movies where they really, really hit their stride.
Apocalypse.
But there's a reason the animated series like looks better because it's based off the giant size X-Men, and their costume design is better because like everyone looks different. It's not uniform. Like everyone gets to express themselves however the fuck they want. And I think that with the power of the Phoenix, you don't even need a reasoning behind why her costume's appearing. The Phoenix can make that costume happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like that thing could just pop up. That's the shit.
She literally rose out of the water in a completely brand new costume, like as introduced. So, like, they should just realize, we have complete costume liberty. Any costume we can think of, she could change it every second if she wanted to.
I mean, Emperor Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker, he takes on the life force of Rey and Ben, and all of a sudden he's got a brand new wardrobe. I mean, like, damn.
They could have had the one with the Phoenix.
You can do that for Jean
It's just
Grey.
a bra. White hair, the best costume design to me. And then boom, that's the movie. That's the movie right there. And like
any costume they want.
Colton, that was something you said briefly. We were talking about the costumes. Something you said in Mutant Monthly. We was talking about the Halloween costumes. Oh, like how the X-Men all look different, but you can tell that this person is rapping like repping X-Men. Like you can tell this is still a person.
Oh yeah, they got the yellow accent or the blue accent. They got a little X somewhere. Like
like
enough.
I got my style,
You don't need
but
more
like
than
I'm
that.
still repping like this my homies for real. Like
Repping
these my
the set.
goons.
Yeah, and I don't think there's enough of that in the live action movies. So I'm hoping that the X-Men '97 thing is something that'll lead into a like multiversal them moving into live action wearing their X-Men costumes from the animated series. Like I think that would be dope. Like as a way to like put a cap on that series is them entering the MCU, literally. I think that would be really cool. And then like we'd have all of our favorite fucking X-Men in the universe out of fucking nowhere, just like with us.
Which do
now.
you prefer? Oh, sorry.
And then that would open the opportunity for that Jean Grey to experience the Phoenix Saga again and shit like that. Like it's
like, which do you prefer?
Anything could happen.
What you was gonna say? Sorry.
I just said anything could happen.
Do you
go
prefer
ahead.
like her yellow and blue look, or the green dress with the yellow yellow mask? Her Marvel girl look.
I do like her Marvel girl look quite a bit, just because it's like really classic. I know, like anytime I played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, I would and I was Jean Grey. That was the suit that I would pick for her. I do like the red though. I like the Dark Phoenix red with the gold. But nah, I was never huge on the blue one. I was just never quite what I enjoyed. The history of Jean Grey's character though is really cool, just because she was Marvel Girl. She was just telekinetic with just some telepathic abilities, who was hit on by all the other X-Men profusely, and then she becomes the most powerful of them all. 30 or like I don't know, that would have been like 30 to 20 years later almost.
I just love how she still comes out the water like, no longer I'm the woman you knew, and all of a sudden, help me. Like, I'm just like, Jean.
Yeah.
Like, girl, you just did all that. What is you doing? Like, and then like how she's in the hospital bed and she's just moaning that when I was a kid, when my mom would hear it come from my phone, she would think I'm watching something else. And I'm like, oh no, it's this.
Yeah.
And like how the Phoenix just comes out. And she's like, Phoenix, now we are one. And I'm like, that happened quick. Like, it was just.
No, yeah, it is. It is always really. There's a couple times where it's like, are you one though? Because y'all split up a second ago. She just came through and said help again. Like, are you one? Are you lying to me?
She just needed a we are Phoenix moment. That's what she needed.
Right. She really did. Like, I don't know. I feel like one thing that I do have concern about with the MCU potentially adapting this is that I mean MCU has like they take liberties outside of the comics, and I anticipate that will be that'll be the case here with the X-Men. I'm interested to see, like, obviously we haven't gotten like the Shi'ar Empire and shit like that. Like, we've seen the Kree and we've seen the Skrulls. But besides that, we haven't got much beyond that. We saw the Xandarians and Guardians of the Galaxy and shit. But beyond that, we haven't seen like real, like a space presence that is an empire. I know the Kree kind of have their thing going on, and that's kind of an empire, but they've got a whole war with the Skrulls going on and stuff, so it's
Captain Marvel
pretty
hopefully give us
Captain Marvel makes a lot of sense
to some empires. Like, hopefully that's the next Captain Marvel movie. We're just gonna get big space wherever she's been off to, this whole time. Right. I hope.
Well, next Captain Marvel movie is the Marvels, and she won't be alone. She'll have a Photon, Monica Rambeau with her, and she'll have Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan with her. So with that, it's really interesting because it's like I anticipate the cosmic stuff with Captain Marvel and Photon, but then you rope in Miss Marvel's Kamala Khan, and I expect that to be a little bit more grounded and down to earth. So it's interesting the route they're going. I think it'll be interesting for sure.
I really think that will, yeah.
But that Captain Marvel's another place where it would be a good opportunity to introduce the Phoenix Force at some point.
Basically the same story.
I think if Captain Marvel saw the Phoenix Force like fly by her in the middle of space, and then she was like, oh shit, and she just like goes after it and like tries to chase it and stuff, and then like ultimately can't catch it because it's the fucking Phoenix. And then she can just kind of be like, what the fuck was that? And like maybe it's headed towards Earth, and now she's got to go warn people. Like, it could be cool.
Yeah. Do you think that would be Captain Marvel's exit is with Rogue? Because Rogue kind of like puts her into like a coma for like a fucking long ass time when she like absorbs her. Yeah.
I don't think they'll do that to the live action Captain Marvel. Because like I think if they do end to Captain Marvel, they'll do end to Captain Marvel. Like it won't like if that won't be the end of Captain Marvel's story. Like maybe that's a part of it. Like but ultimately she'd come out of the coma and they'd figure out if they'd get her back in the game and stuff. Just because like if a character in the MCU is in a coma, they're never off the table. They're coming back at some point. That hasn't really happened, which is interesting to think about. I mean, Happy Hogan was in a coma for Iron Man 3 and stuff, but other than that, it hasn't been incredibly prevalent. No, it is really interesting though, because the universe is just, the MCU is just getting so fucking big.
That's the thing.
So whenever the X-Men get
I really feel like they're gonna come from a different I really feel they're gonna come from a different universe though, to me. I just feel that. Like,
I mean, honestly, it's just the easiest explanation for Marvel to be like, the X-Men that you know was just in this multiverse. It's all happened, but you know it's just separate from this universe that you've been watching. Now the multiverse being open just means your characters can come into the other universes. Like I truly like.
It just makes sense.
I don't even know like if they're gonna have like an X gene moment, you know, like like that we're kind of thinking, like awakening the mutants. I think it's just gonna be like mutants in this timeline weren't a thing, they don't exist, but
or they haven't evolved to that point.
Yeah, or there hasn't been like the X gene moment or something like that in this universe. But in this multiverse, it happened back in whatever year, and they did exist. So here's all those people now. That's what I think the direction Marvel's going in. Like, and it just gives them so much freedom to do anything that way. Like, they can literally do whatever they want, like with the multiverse. And it's just as like a marketing decision, like, it just makes sense if they do it that way, because any TV show, anything like they want, they can just do.
Absolutely. And I think I'd like that. Like I would appreciate it if they just went, the X-Men don't exist in the other, like they exist in another multiverse.
What Marvel is doing is they're trying to get as close to the comic book experience without saying that it's like the comic book experience. They're giving you all these different multiverses, which is just the different issues, like in all these different, like everything. They're trying like to get there without saying that's like where they're going, like because they have to. Like if they want to get this grand and everything, like it kind of just has to work that way. It can't all
be happening on the same Earth.
Yeah, like
I just think like it would be so cool if like it was like some big like collision thing with like all the multiverses connecting, and then like you just hear that like that signature X-Men, the Foxmen, like dun, 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 noise, and like the X-Men is already established, and they just walking through like, and they all like suited in their own individual uniforms, and just like oh, what's going on here? Like I'm ready to fight.
Let me say that animated series soundtrack kills.
Oh, that should go up.
I never hit that skip intro button. I let it play
every
time.
Never once.
I love it.
That's one of the best intro sequences ever. Period. It's up there with like Game of Thrones and Westworld for me.
Dang,
and the Sopranos.
Westworld,
like,
yeah.
It's the only show that's not an HBO series that I think has a.
I was gonna say Westworld probably is my favorite. Like it's just that just artistically, like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-boggling.
But yeah,
It's
this one, it's up there, like, definitely.
I
Yeah,
think
the
the best Foxman intro is Apocalypse. I think that's the best one. Like,
that's
when
a
you
really
see like
cool
Jesus
title
and you see the
sequence.
Mona Lisa and the Nazi symbol and the train, like you go through time from the pyramids through time.
Yeah, they give you the whole timeline. And more on the movie's title sequences next month as we rank all the Foxman films for next month's Mutants Monthly, which I'm very excited to do with you guys. That'll be fun. How many are there? Like fucking 13 or 14?
X2, Last Stand.
Because we're including New Mutants and the Deadpools.
Last Stand, X-Men Origins Wolverine,
the original X-Men
the Wolverine,
trilogy,
First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, New Mutants. Yeah. Yep.
13. All right.
Wow, I'm mad. I just remember
13.
all those movies
All right.
that I don't like really care for.
No, I mean, like, the ones that like I completely was forgetting about the Wolverine trilogy, even though Logan's probably, I don't want to spoil anything, but
And Logan, yeah,
Logan's probably.
It's Logan.
Yeah, I'm excited for next month too. Do you guys have much else to say about the Phoenix here? We're coming up on 2 hours. I think this is our longest Mutants Monthly yet. I could keep going. Whatever y'all want to talk. If you got anything
just like
else to
I have
touch
so
on
much
Phoenix,
to say,
I'm
but
ready
then
to
I just don't want to drag. Like it's just so much. It's just like I really. The only thing I could say is that like the Phoenix storyline is so big that I think in every iteration of X-Men animated, even the animations like X-Men Evolution, X-Men Anime, the 90s, Wolverine and the X-Men, the Phoenix always comes up no matter what. Like, just this a thing. And I think
it's essential.
Yeah, and I think like the Phoenix is, I think it's kind of like underrated almost in Marvel lore. Like, not like underrated because I know like Marvel fans know about it, but I think it's not not valued as like one of the big top things. Like, I'm not saying it is the best of the best.
Oh yeah,
but like I never really see like conversations about it's like.
No, yeah, and I think the MCU can be blamed for that to a degree. The MCU has kind of determined what the big things in Marvel are now. Thanos, the Infinity Gauntlet, Ultron, Loki, like these sorts of characters are like
even the Guardians, yeah.
The Guardians, yeah, like, and one day we'll get there. I think the Phoenix Force will eventually be like nothing to fuck with in the MCU for sure. I can't wait for when that gets folded in eventually. That's just going to be fucking fantastic.
I just hope wherever we are in that future when it comes out, I just know y'all two are going to think about me. Like, Aurora is dying right now.
No, and we'll talk about it right here.
Yes.
Yes. Whenever that happens. I don't plan on like really like I think like no matter what I'm doing, this will at least be a hobby I have.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think
the Penny Bloom podcast.
We're doing at least next year. For just movies.
At least all throughout 2022.
I mean, and I didn't have any plans of retiring.
No, exactly. It's not like I'm just going to be like, that's it.
I've had enough.
Supporting character to a regular to part of the main cast. So like I'm here. Like
Yeah, exactly. Right now, I mean, like you look at like the last 20 to 30 episodes of the Penny Bloom podcast, because I think this is 149 or 150. You two are the most prevalent cast members.
It is 149.
Right now.
This is a square number. That's sick.
I can't wait to
be
get
cool
to 420.
149. 150 is also a cool number. But
what's that?
I can't wait till we get to 420.
Oh, episode 420 will be a fun
That's
one.
Going to be a fun one. Fun one.
Yeah.
It's going to be in a
I'll
while.
be higher than usual.
So are we going to... yeah. That's just... But like, honestly...
Yeah, I think that's that. feels like the natural end of the conversation here. I feel like we're reaching now, but I had a good time. I love the Phoenix storyline, and I'm glad we got to sit down and talk here for almost 2 hours about it, which is really, really awesome. Shit, you got any last thoughts here, Aurora?
I'm just so happy, just so happy that we did this.
I'm so
I'm
happy
like
you're happy.
so happy.
I'm so happy.
Like talking about this whole family aesthetic of the X-Men, and it's just a lot. Yeah. Are we going to talk about the next big family? Is that the next one, or is that one before that?
That will be next month. That will be next month. Joe, but before that, Joe, you got any last thoughts on the Dark Phoenix here?
Just would like to say thanks for inviting a newbie out here. It was very fun to be part of this. And thank you, Aurora, for being an expert through all these movies, because I have major conflicting, just confusing thoughts with all the X-Men movies for what I thought I know and what I'm watching. So very nice to have and
watching the movies certainly didn't help those conflicting thoughts.
Yes.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So it only kind of raised more questions for me. But anyway, as I watch more and more, I think I'll get a better understanding. But
you will.
But yeah, I'm glad I'm getting back into the X-Men, and hopefully I'll become an expert like you guys sometime soon.
Well, hey, you got this next month here, we'll be covering the ranking of all the Foxman films. You'll get real familiar here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe we no, it's Foxman. We'll keep it Foxman. I was going to say maybe we fold in like the X-Men animated series. You rank that amongst it too, wherever it might fall. But
this meeting monthly
that's neither here nor there.
For a while.
Yeah, it could. It could. Obviously, we only have this next one's the last one we've got firmly planned out. And then I guess in this next month we'll have to plan our next set of 5 through May, which will be fun. I think it's fun to do them in chunks like this instead of planning like a whole bunch of them all at once. We can kind of feel out whatever we're feeling at the time, and having a plan though for a decent amount of time gives you a little direction for what content you're looking at, which is nice.
I implore, if you're just a casual MCU fan or you just watch the MCU movies, to expand your horizons. Go watch the X-Men, go watch the Fantastic Four, read some comics even. I'm starting to do that, and I'm very, very glad I've done it, and I wish I would have done it earlier. So if you're on the fence,
dude, I can't say that enough, because
fence,
whenever I started reading comics, and frankly, if you've got $10 a month to spare, cannot recommend Marvel Unlimited enough. It is every Marvel comic.
I'm asking for it for Christmas.
Yeah,
so
that's a good move.
Yeah.
That's a great move. It's fantastic. It's like I can't recommend it enough. And whenever I started reading comics, I really started with X-Men comics, because I was like, this is far and away the most compelling comic book storytelling there is. And as soon as I did, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm officially going to be doing this forever. Because it really is just one of the more enjoyable mediums there is. It might not be the one that makes you think the hardest or the one that is the deepest, but if you like the characters and if you love the characters and you want to get to know them, there's no better place than with over 100 issues of these characters. You know what I'm saying? There's so much comic book material out there.
My final thing to say, this is the 2 things that I love that Jean Grey did. 1, she outed Iceman. Hilarious. I love that. 2, it was a Christmas thing. It was one of the new X-Men. I think it's called the new X-Men or something like that. And when she's wearing like green and black. And Scott, I'm going to wrap this up real quick. Scott literally was like, oh, it's Christmas time and da-da-da. And Jean's like, oh, what did you get me? And he's like, you got to wait for Christmas. She's like, yeah, you might want to save that receipt. I fell out. I love this new Jean. She like, you can see the purple going to his head. She's like, yeah, hold on to that receipt. Like, I'm like, what the
Damn.
Because I ain't gonna keep that.
Yeah, but that's all I have.
No, yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal.
Yep, that's it.
Love that. So, again, next month, Foxmen rankings, 13 films. I cannot wait. That'll be a lot of fun. Also next month, since it is Christmas time and Christmas is about the family and getting together, we figured what better time to discuss Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. So prior to us ranking the Foxmen, that probably might actually come out on Christmas or Christmas Eve or something. A little Christmas special about the Fantastic Four, and that's one where I'm not incredibly versed in the Fantastic Four. I've read a few comics, I've watched the movies, but I'm excited to dive even further into it. Maybe catch a few episodes of that Fantastic Four animated series and the Silver Surfer animated series on Disney Plus. I'm really excited for that. So yeah, that'll be coming next month. In December on Christmas Eve, we'll get some discussion about the first family, the Fantastic Four. I'm very excited, and both Aurora and Joseph, you'll both be back for that, which I'm very excited for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was Mutants Monthly number 4, Fear and Loathing in Dark Phoenix. And this is the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Twas I, Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Aurora Carter. Thank you very much.
Always. Thank you for this beautiful experience.
Oh, of course, and thank you for this beautiful experience. Thank you, Joseph George, for being here.
Thank you for letting a newbie in. It's always a pleasure, and I can't wait to be back.
I can't wait to have you back. If you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll find over 20 hours of content, including some Spider-Man No Way Home trailer discussion. I know that movie's only 17 days away as of the time this podcast will be out, which is really getting close. We got all sorts of theories. And I mean, there'll certainly be more with the next trailer that comes out. Very, very excited. But yeah, over 20 hours of exclusive content and some artwork I put up over there, not available anywhere else. It's a lot of fun. And all that money that I make over there goes straight back into the podcast and making sure that I can afford to keep it going. We don't do ad sales or anything. I'm not a sellout, unless of course you're interested. If you would, go follow on Twitter at Penny Bloom Pod. Go to Instagram and follow at Penny Bloom Podcast. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I am life incarnate, the Phoenix.